Welcome to US Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Niger doesn't want to fight terrorism anymore, says Macron as he withdraws troops. Humans of New York creator calls out Indian version amid copyright row. Robert De Niro says he won't be reprising taxi driver role for Uber ad. Hollywood's writers have reached deal. What happens next? Wildland firefighters in many parts of Canada struggle to get compensated for serious illness. Niger doesn't want to fight terrorism anymore, says Macron as he withdraws troops. Telegraph. France has announced that it will withdraw its soldiers from Niger by the end of the year, following a coup in the West African country that ousted its pro-Western president. The decision is likely to increase concerns over Russia's expanding influence in Africa, as the Russian mercenary force Wagner is already present in Niger's neighbor Mali. France's influence over its former colonies has waned in recent years, and its forces have been expelled from neighboring countries Mali and Burkina Faso since coups in those nations. Humans of New York creator calls out Indian version amid copyright row. The Independent. The founder of Humans of New York, Honey, Brandon Stanton, has criticized an Indian version of the page, Humans of Bombay, HOB, amid a copyright dispute. HOB filed a copyright infringement suit against another page called People of India, claiming that it had duplicated images and videos from HOB's platform. Stanton issued a statement on Twitter, accusing HOB of copying his original initiative and questioning their right to sue another storytelling platform. HOB responded, stating that Stanton should have informed himself about the case before making comments. Robert De Niro says he won't be reprising taxi driver role for Uber ad. The Independent. Actor Robert De Niro has denied reports that he will be reprising his role as Travis Bickle from the film Taxi Driver in an advertisement for Uber UK. De Niro's representative has confirmed that the ad campaign will not reference the 1976 film. The advertisement is set to air later this year. Hollywood's writers have reached deal. What happens next? The Independent. The Writers Guild of America, WGA, has reached a tentative deal with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, AMPTP, marking the end of a 5-month strike by screenwriters. The terms of the deal have not been announced, but the WGA described it as exceptional with meaningful gains and protections for writers. The deal still needs to be approved by the WGA's boards and its 11,500 members. The strike has caused delays to late-night shows such as The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, which is expected to return to air soon. The actors' strike continues. Wildland firefighters in many parts of Canada struggle to get compensated for serious illness. CBC. Wildland firefighters in Canada are being denied compensation for illnesses, including cancer and cardiovascular diseases, as they are excluded from presumptive coverage granted to structural firefighters. Thomas LeBlanc, who died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2010, developed the cancer after 35 years in the profession. His widow, Kim LeBlanc, fought for 9 years to get his case recognized and was eventually successful. Wildland firefighters face similar health risks to structural firefighters, but are inadequately protected and receive a patchwork of coverage depending on the province or territory in which they work. Myopic Rugby Board must go. The Sydney Morning Herald. Following the Wallabies' loss to Wales in the Rugby World Cup, readers have expressed their frustration with the state of Australian rugby. Several readers have called for an overhaul of the Rugby Australia Board, suggesting that there are too many representatives from private schools and not enough from local high schools. Others have lamented the lack of depth in the Australian playing group, suggesting that the Wallabies do not have the quality or depth of players needed to be successful against the best teams. One reader even suggested that the Wallabies and the Wallaroos should combine in order to field a competitive side. In addition to criticism of the Wallabies' performance, readers have also expressed their disappointment with the Rugby Australia Board's recent coach selection decisions. Some readers have called for the entire board to resign in order to improve the Wallabies' performance. Others have suggested that it may be time for Australian rugby to consider a new coach, with one reader jokingly suggesting that the ARU should see if Ted Lasso is available. The article also includes a selection of letters on other topics, including the behavior of senior public servants and the upcoming U.S. presidential election. Readers have expressed their concerns about the influence of political power on the public service and the lack of ethical standards among Canberra bureaucrats. They have also criticized George Brandis for his comments about the U.S. presidential contest, with one reader suggesting that his remarks were misogynistic and another suggesting that age should not be equated with senility. Canadian conductor Yannick Nezet-Seguin prepared Bradley Cooper for Maestro role. The Toronto Star. Conductor Yannick Nezet-Seguin revealed that he used an earpiece to guide Bradley Cooper in his portrayal of Leonard Bernstein's conducting style in the upcoming biopic Maestro. Nezhat Sagin, who served as a conductor consultant on the film, wanted to ensure an accurate depiction of conducting and help Cooper with the hand and arm movements necessary to appear believable to music-savvy viewers. Nezhat Sagin stated that he has seen many movies portray conductors poorly and wanted to avoid that in Maestro. The film will be released in select theaters on November 22 and on Netflix on December 20. U.S. envoy's Gwadar tour shows Pakistan's evolving China strategy. Nikkei Asia. A visit by a U.S. diplomat to the Pakistani port of Gwadar, which is a core facility for China's Belt and Road Initiative (BRI) projects, has highlighted Pakistan's delicate balancing act between rival superpowers. The U.S. is keen to increase its presence in Gwadar, suggesting that Pakistan may be hinting at working with the U.S. as a means to pressure China to gain concessions on BRI projects. Gwadar has been the site of rising threats and attacks on Chinese personnel, and China has been frustrated by delayed payments to power plants built under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project. UN worried about Vietnam arrest of energy expert after Biden's visit. Reuters. The UN Human Rights Office has expressed concern over the recent arrest of a Vietnamese green energy expert who had collaborated with UN and US agencies. Ngo Thi Nguyen, executive director of the Vietnam Initiative for Energy Transition, was detained by Hanoi police on September 15. Nguyen had previously worked for the World Bank, the United Nations Development Program, and USAID. The arrest comes just days after President Joe Biden signed business and human rights deals with Vietnam on a visit to the country. Vietnam has previously arrested 5 environmental human rights defenders on charges of tax evasion. Molotov cocktails thrown at Cuban embassy in Washington. Reuters. The Cuban embassy in Washington was attacked with Molotov cocktails on Sunday night. Cuba's foreign minister, Bruno Rodriguez Parilla, confirmed the attack and stated that nobody was injured. This incident occurred shortly after Cuba's leader, Miguel Díaz-Canel, returned from attending events at the United Nations in New York. The embassy had reopened in 2015 after diplomatic ties were restored between the two countries. The foreign minister noted that shots had been fired at the building in a previous attack in 2020. Rodriguez condemned the attack and stated that anti-Cuban groups resort to terrorism when they feel a sense of impunity. This incident comes after recent high-level talks between U.S. and Cuban officials, where progress was made on various issues. Cuba's main concerns include being on the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism and the continuation of the economic embargo. Photos, major asteroid sample brought to Earth in NASA first. Al Jazeera. NASA's OSIRIS-RX probe successfully completed its 7-year space voyage and landed in Utah, bringing with it the largest asteroid sample ever collected. Scientists hope that the sample will provide insights into the formation of the solar system and the habitability of Earth. The mission marks the United States' first sample return mission of its kind. NASA Chief Bill Nelson said the asteroid dust will provide a glimpse into the beginnings of the solar system. The probe landed on the asteroid Bennu and collected an estimated 250 g of dust from its surface before returning to Earth. Live Ukraine-Russia war live, Odessa port damaged by Russian missile strikes. Telegraph. Russian drones and missiles fired on the Ukrainian city of Odessa have reportedly destroyed grain stores and caused significant damage to the port infrastructure. The Southern Defense Forces claim that Moscow directed 19 Shahid drones, 2 Onyx supersonic missiles, and 12 Caliber missiles at the city. Ukrainian authorities state that an unspecified number of granaries and a landmark hotel were destroyed, and warehouses caught fire as a result of falling debris. This comes after reports that Russia has intensified attacks on Ukrainian ports since pulling out of a UN-brokered deal to export grain along the Black Sea. Meet Europe's Ryder Cup team including McIlroy and 6 wildcard picks. The Independent. Team Europe, led by captain Luke Donald, is hoping to win back the Ryder Cup trophy from the USA at this year's competition in Rome. The team is looking to draw confidence from Europe's recent win at the Solheim Cup. Key players for Team Europe include Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, Victor Hovland, Tyrrell Hatton, Matt Fitzpatrick, Robert McIntyre, Tommy Fleetwood, Sepp Straka, Justin Rose, Shane Lowry, Nikolai Højgaard, Ludvig Aberg. The team was selected based on captains' picks and automatic qualification via world rankings and European points lists. A stimulus-fueled China property rebound is just not on the cards. South China Morning Post. JP Morgan's recent decision to revise its estimate for China's economic growth to 5% this year rather than 4.8% suggests that the country's economy may be starting to recover. Data from Bloomberg reveals that foreign investors sold a record $12 billion of onshore stocks last month, leading some to believe that China may have hit rock bottom. A gauge of activity in the manufacturing sector edged closer to 50 in August, implying an end to contraction. Additionally, measures to counteract the downturn in the property sector have increased. However, experts are divided on whether these measures will revive the market or just prevent systemic risk. Panic among Putin's troops as they face threat of encirclement. The Independent. Ukrainian forces have made significant advances in the Verbov area, causing panic among Russian forces. Ukrainian troops broke into Verbov on September 22 and have continued to attack the settlement with armored vehicles. As of September 24, Ukrainian forces occupy half of Verbov. The Russian Ministry of Defense has been accused of trying to conceal Ukraine's progress in Verbov. Ukrainian forces have also captured new unspecified locations near Verbov. There is a real threat of Ukrainian forces encircling Russian forces, with Ukrainian troops within 7 kilometers of encircling the 56th VDV Regiment. Elements of 3 Russian divisions are also actively defending against Ukrainian assaults in the Orikhiv area. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.